I have a long list of videos to make about how to be a DM, and this should be useful for a brand new dungeon master or someone who's considering being a dungeon master or someone who's been maybe running for a while. I'm hoping I have some insights that can help you run better games. But as I looked over the list and tried to determine which one I should shoot first, I realized, I'm going to be referring back to one concept a lot, like constantly. So I should probably start with that video, and that's what this is, the secret of Dungeons and Dragons. And by the way, this is relevant to any TTRPG and probably a lot of other things in life as well. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about what D&D is not about. Then I'm going to talk about what it is about. I'm going to talk about what that means for you and how it impacts you in your games and how you can use it, most importantly, and then how you can improve your skills understanding this concept so that your games will be the talk of the town. All right, time to step on some toes. D&D is not about the rules. That's actually a pretty popular thing to say these days. But D&D is also not about the story or the characters or suboptimal decisions or the dice. As much as most of us, myself included, love rolling a handful of dice, it's not about the dice. You see, D&D is about people. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but bear with me here because this actually matters, and I'm going to reference this a lot in my training videos. You see, D&D is about the people around your table. And here's why this matters. As a dungeon master, your goal is for your players to get up after a session and say, "Oh man, that was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again." Are you going to have that every single session? No. There are going to be sessions that were a little bit of a slog. There are going to be sessions where people aren't really sure what to think after that. It's going to happen, and that's totally fine. But ultimately, you want most of your sessions to end with players going, "Man, that was so much fun. I can't wait to play again." So here's where it's really important for you to understand. This game is about people and the people at your table. Because people have different things that motivate them. People have different agendas. People have different things that bother them. People are different, unique, and that's fine. But as a dungeon master, your job is to make sure that those people collected around your table are having a blast. This doesn't mean that you're going to give them everything they ask for. In fact, if you do that, believe it or not, counterintuitively, they're not going to have a great time. They might for about 5 minutes, and then they're going to get bored with it. No. You need to challenge them. And this, again, requires that you understand people, specifically your people. Now, if you're running a game for a bunch of strangers you've never met, this is going to be a different type of challenge. You're going to have to get to know them throughout the course of the game. And if it's a one-shot, you don't have a lot of time to do it. So there are going to be certain general things about people you need to understand, you need to think about as you're preparing. And we'll talk about those in future videos, absolutely. If you're running for a bunch of friends that you've known for years, well, think about them. Think about what their play styles are. You might have an entire table that loves having those games where they just do a bunch of shopping and social interaction and talking in voices, and they're perfectly happy if they never touch a die. But you may also have a table where, man, they live for the tactical combat. Honestly, either one of those tables is pretty easy to run for. The challenge comes when you have a mixed table, where some of the players are happier when they're playing with an NPC and messing around with social interactions of various types, maybe negotiating with the bartender or the shopkeeper, or if it's the kind of thing that you're into, maybe flirting with an NPC, one of your NPCs. On the other hand, you're going to have some people who are like, "Oh, come on, like it's been 2 hours since the last combat. Can we fight something, please?" And it's those combinations that can be challenging. You need to be able to, as you're preparing, be ready to be able to give this player what you know they're looking for in a game, and this player over here what you know they're really hoping to actually see in a game. And sometimes it'll vary from one session to the other. The mix will change. That's okay. Understanding that it's all about people is where it begins. Now, let's talk about the less fun aspects of this. Because ultimately, because it's all about people, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have unmet expectations. You're going to have miscommunications. You're going to have people who come in simply having a bad day and maybe what they needed wasn't really what you had prepared. Well, sometimes, and I mean no disrespect to your players or mine, sometimes as the Dungeon Master, our job is to be the adult at the table. And this doesn't mean that you're running for children, although you might be. You might be running for teenagers. You might be a teenager yourself. You might be running for 40, 50, 60-year-olds who have been doing this for years. That doesn't mean that they're being immature. It just means that sometimes, as the Dungeon Master, we're the one who needs to make the judgment call and say, okay, I need to change something up so that I meet the needs of my players. It's pretty popular to talk about how you as the DM, you need to be having fun too. And hey, I'm not going to disagree with that. Although I will say that if your fun doesn't involve helping your players to have fun, maybe you need to reconsider the role that you're playing at the table. As a DM, yes, I love messing with my players. Yes, I love taunting them. I love it when the entire table goes, oh no, we're all gonna die. It's so much fun. Or they groan, oh no, this is happening. It means they care. It means they're invested. And quite frankly, I have a lot of fun doing that. But at the same time, there are times when I do things that, you know what, I know they really enjoy. And like I said earlier, when they get up from the table and say, oh my word, that was so much fun, I can't wait to play again, those are some of the most rewarding times as a Dungeon Master. And so I have to learn to put what I had planned on a side burner sometimes. And if you're the kind of person who's really driven by story and telling a story, this can be really challenging, especially when your players are running characters that don't want to play ball. They want to do something completely different than what you had planned or the direction you had in mind. Once again, it's all about people. It's not about the rules, which is why we can fudge them and be flexible with them if we need to. It's not about the story, although that can be great, which is why we need to fudge and be flexible with that as well. When it comes to dealing with player conflict, either player on player or player and DM, this is where your skills in dealing with people, in communication, are key. So I'm going to, and again, I'll be referencing back to this a lot in the coming videos, but I'm actually going to make a recommendation for you for how you can improve your games and improve your skills as a Dungeon Master, and it's going to surprise you. I know right now, if you're an experienced Dungeon Master and you're watching this, you're like, okay, I mean, what's this guy all about? What's he talking about? What is he going to recommend? This is going to surprise you, most likely. Although, hey, if it doesn't, I would love to hear from you. I want to see in the comments below, I want to hear from you if you saw this coming. There's actually a book I'm going to recommend. It's not published by Wizards of the Coast. It's not published by any of the big third partiers. It doesn't come from any of the famous mats in our industry, all of whom are fantastic and I love. No, this book comes from a former FBI hostage negotiator. Whoa, my players aren't that bad. No, hear me out. The book is called, and by the way, I'm not set up as an Amazon affiliate. I'm going to put the link in there, and maybe down the road I'll become an Amazon affiliate, and I'll change it to an affiliate link to support the channel, whatever, that's great. But right now, I'm just saying, get this book, guys, and read it. Get the audiobook and listen to it. I've done it several times myself. It's going to help you in life. It's called Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as if your life depended on it. And it's by a gentleman named Chris Voss. Like I said, he was an FBI hostage negotiator. In fact, chief hostage negotiator, did international negotiations. And yes, I'm not saying anything bad about your player. I'm not saying your players are crazy. But a thing that you will learn from this book is how to better communicate with people whose perspectives might be different than your own. And this happens around the table. It happens all the time. And you're going to learn techniques, not to manipulate them, but to better understand and communicate with them. This is going to help you in dealing with people all over the place, but it's going to help you in D&D, and especially if you're a DM. Highly recommended. Read the book. And then come back and comment. Let me know something that you learned that you think you can actually use at your table. This is huge for cases where you have a player who's upset with a ruling or who's really arguing against a ruling. There are things in that book that you can, I don't want to spoil it, but you can use to diffuse the situation. And that's key, because the faster we can all get back to playing and having a good time, the better your session is going to end. And hey, I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say if there's a disagreement, I want it to be able to be resolved quickly and us to be able to move on and have fun so that the rest of the session isn't ruined by someone who's just upset and mad about the ruling that you made or about something that happened at the table. It might not be with you, it might be with another player. So check out that book. Again, I have no financial incentive at this point. Maybe I'll add an Amazon affiliate link later, but I'll probably also leave the original link up just so that you don't have to feel weird about it. Look, get the book. It's a really good one. Check it out. And remember, at the end of the day, D&D is all about people. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Give me a subscription if you think I deserved it, and a like on this video would be a lot of help. Share this with someone you think could benefit from it. And I'll see you in the next video.